Hello Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to your tarot reading here at the Intuitive Teacup. We're going to read your tarot cards, so please come into this reading with an open heart and an open mind, a desire to learn something or better yourself. If the messages that come through for you don't resonate, that's totally fine. Feel free to push them aside. You may want to revisit them at a later date. And do remember you are accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. This is optional advice, guidance, an energy check-in. That being said, let's set the intention to get you some helpful, clear messages here today. All right, let's do it. So the world, bottom of the deck is the world. An interesting depiction of the world. It's not usually two people embracing in that capacity. Usually it's just one person. So this could speak, and the world speaks of sort of culminations, achievements, graduations, things coming to a conclusion, clarity, peace of mind, things of that nature. So it could be that you've achieve some sort of major milestone with your person or in a relationship. For if that resonates for 90% of you, it's going to be something more intimate, right? Just the way this is depicted. But it's possible there could have been a family dynamic that maybe you've reached some sort of reason to celebrate. Maybe you've gone through something in your family or even a friendship group, right? That is cause for celebration. I like that message. Though I will say for most of you, this is more in terms of a partnership or a romantic prospect. For some of you, there's just a simple message of someone who you've had eyes on for quite a while that you were always kind of curious about or interested in asking out or being with them in a romantic capacity. It feels like you guys are finally together. And it might be very early on, you may have only gone on a date or two, but it's something that it's been a long time simmering. It's always been that one day I'll ask them out or, one day we're going to do this or, I don't want to, overreach and be like, yeah, they're going to leave their person for you and now it's fine. But I will say for some of you, that may have actually been something that was in the way. It's like you always had a crush on this person. You always liked this person, but they just simply weren't available. So it was sort of like, okay, off limits. But, with the world, major shifts, major changes, it's eclipse season. So it's frequently a time that people get out of marriages or long-term partnerships that just aren't working. So, be careful that this person isn't rebounding, right? And just hopping into bed with anybody. But I really don't get that sense. I almost sense that there's just this amazing compatibility of you guys kind of that where have you been all my life? Only you've kind of been there. I don't know if they didn't see you in that light or they more than likely they weren't available or they didn't know that you were interested. So long story short, I actually really like that energy. There's something here about it's like the perfect fit. It's like the perfect match. That might be with another Capricorn. It could also be with one of the fixed signs. That's always depicted in the world. So Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, or Aquarius. That's just kind of one message there. Let's see what else is coming through in your tarot cards here. We're going to start in the middle. You have the Hierophant. I feel like I read recently for you something that had a lot of Hierophant energy. So it is a card of Taurus. It is a card of tradition, the family, something that makes the history books. It's like granite rock, right? It's heavy and it's been there a long time. I make it sound so dull, right? But it's, it's a strong card. It's major arcana. I frequently think it has to do with the idea of preaching and teachings as well. So sometimes it's associated quite literally with schooling and education. And you have it next to the Empress, which is more Taurian energy. It's more kind of a Venus depiction, right? So this may have to do with mother and father. Then you have the Seven of Swords. I feel like some of you, your parents are visiting. There's a return home or meeting new grandchildren. Yes, for some of you, you may, I don't know, there may be, I don't know if it's a family reunion, but there's different generations of family getting together. So maybe it's little nieces and nephews and cousins and this and that. But particularly grandchildren meeting a maternal figure or a grandmother figure. I don't know why that's significant, but that's coming through. Something about putting something back or going back to where we started. Something about redoing or fixing up. It's funny, I just did Aries tarot reading and there was a similar message of preserving the family legacy and sort of going back to the roots, going back to the traditional, going back to where we started. I don't know if that's in relationship to a family business or if it has to do with land and property. I don't know if you're fixing up an old house or maybe you've inherited a family house or a family business. And I think I've said this too, it's the same messages are coming through. It's the secret sauce is going back to how it used to be done. There was something that you may view as kind of archaic or not in fashion anymore, but I actually see in some capacity returning to tradition and the way it used to be done. Particularly with an air sign, a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. I don't know what that is, or something to do with flight or wings or a bird. I don't know what that is, but that's important for some of you. So I'm just going to leave that there. All right, let's see. There could be some sort of message about like a high school reunion or getting together with college friends or old friends, and you seem like anxious about it. It could be that you have baggage with someone that was never resolved, or you may still be holding a grudge or some sort of resentment with someone who used to be a close friend, or kind of someone who's in the circle of people you would hang out with, a friends group. Maybe it's like a friend of a friend. Or it's possible that your ex is now dating one of your friends, or possible that, long ago, a friend and your ex got married, and it's not a secret, like you know about it, but there might be like some uncomfortable energy of like getting the quote unquote gang back together. For some of you, it's less to do with resentment, or personal resentment. It's more the idea of getting together with people who are in a very different spot than where you're at, and feeling less than, feeling down on yourself that, your friend is, already bought the house, and your friend already has babies, and I don't know. It's sort of like the death by comparison. It's like this feeling of dread and, sort of your internal demons, right? Those the shadow side of your personality that likes to play tricks on you and tell you that you're not good enough. Something about that is triggered when you hang out with this group of people. And obviously that's not for all of you, but something about that, the universe is trying to get you to change your mind or see things differently. And it really just has to do with timelines. Like, you guys are all on different timelines. So it doesn't mean that you're not going to get everything you want. It doesn't mean that your dreams have been overlooked and that your wishes and dreams aren't going to come true. It's just that you're not in the same spot. And I know you know this, Capricorn, but it's almost like you need to be reminded that you're actually missing out on like this really pleasant experience by avoiding. For some of you, it's your parents. It's kind of that like, oh, when are we going to have grandkids type thing? And you're just like, I am so stressed out. Don't ask me that. Others of you, yeah, it's more like friend stuff. So don't compare yourself to others. Just do you, nose to the grindstone, and don't worry about, pleasing other people or living up to other people's expectations. Again, I know you know this, but that's clearly something some of you need to hear. So yeah, there is. Some of you may be suffering from, I just forgot the word, PTSD came to mind, but that's not what I was grasping for. Postpartum depression. I see that a little bit. That's what I was searching for. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I don't do medical readings, and I'm going to be super honest. I don't know a terrible amount about that, but I am mentioning it because that may actually kind of be something that someone needed to hear, and maybe that is gonna, encourage someone to take the steps to seek help or talk to a doctor about it. Again, I'm going to kind of end that there because I don't know enough about it to be like, what could the solution be here, right? But something about children, anxiety about children. Maybe some of you are anxious about having children. Maybe some of you already have children and you're having some sort of breakdown of communication, or you just feel like you're not able to reach them the way you used to. It could be that they're, in their teenage years and they're being very rebellious. And some of you are going to look back and be like, oh yeah, that was me. Like when I was their age, that's when I started doing this or that or whatever. Some of you may get word that, especially for those who have like a young-ish daughter, whatever that means, there may be news of pregnancy, and there may be sort of some anxiety or shock because of the age of that daughter. I'm just putting that out there. And I don't do fear-based messages, but maybe you guys need to have a talk, right? There could be something there. There may also be a lot of aversion or opposition because of a very religious upbringing. There could be a lot of kind of negative energy or gossip surrounding that issue. That may also be something your own mother went through, Capricorn. If there was like a very religious household, your grandparents are religious, but you may have been the baby that came out of that scenario, right? Where maybe there was a lot of gossip and there was a lot of sort of judgment, for like an unwed mother or something like that. And again, I don't know why that message is coming through, but I think it's important to share. Because I think it's going to help put things in perspective for you. And maybe it just has to do with the idea that sometimes, like, taking the road less traveled, it is by nature going to come with a lot of judgment because of fear, right? People immediately reject and fear what they don't understand, but just because, they're unfamiliar with that path and haven't walked in your shoes, it doesn't mean they're right. If anything, it shows sort of ignorance on their part that, they're not open-minded. They're very closed off and, not willing to encourage other people down their own individual unique path. It's like sometimes we do have to break away from tradition. And I do think that sort of is kind of a theme that keeps coming up in your reading here, is the idea of tradition. And for some of you, there's this need to embrace it because that's the secret sauce. That's the answer. That's the almost like, I'm just sort of getting, it's like that's the solution to someone's problem, particularly in the family business or marketing. It's something old school. We have to go back to the old school. There's something value in that. But for others of you, there's this like being pigeonholed or restricted to doing things only this way because that's the only way it's ever been done. And it's like you've already broken out of that mold, and it's this idea of like trying to fit like a square peg in a round hole. It's like you have to embrace this individuality and who you are. And maybe you do feel like the black sheep of your family. Maybe you are very different. And I mean, that wouldn't surprise me, Capricorn, right? That Saturnian energy is always going to tell you have to be traditional, you have to do it this way. But with that, there's a lot of unnecessary pain and suffering if you choose not to embrace, who you are. Embrace your own sun sign. I think that's important too. I hope that didn't confuse you, but it's both. There's both messages coming through of, wow, tradition is lovely and that's going to be great. And then there's another message too of, but it's not serving me. So why am I adhering to all these weird rules and regulations? Some of you feel like you're going to break away from your church or your religious upbringing because there's like a matter of ethics or some sort of belief system that's being projected onto you that maybe you've grown up that way and you just don't agree with it anymore. And it might be a more specific issue. It might not be that religion in general, but there might be something there where you're just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to put my child through this. I don't, it could be something like christening or baptism or, I don't want to raise my child that way. But, the family's like, oh my gosh, well, you have to. They're a child of God. Like there's that kind of message too. All right. Yeah, a lot of family stuff coming through. Let's change over to kind of love and romance because we started off with that and that seemed lovely. I think that was maybe just a one-off. Let's see. So you have two cards of kind of Sagittarius energy and Pisces energy coming through here. There could be a disagreement in your, oh gosh, this message again, Capricorn. You guys are already rolling your eyes too, because I think I've given you this message like 3 times. So for those who are new to my channel and this is your first time and you haven't watched the last 6 readings I've done for Capricorn, in a nutshell, there's some sort of disagreement or argument in an already established couple. You guys go and need to take some time apart from each other and then you come back and you're fine. It's like there's this moody, like we don't agree and we're not on the same page and the solution isn't easy. So you have to just kind of like shake it off. You're going to go to the gym and run on the treadmill and get all your anger out. And then you're going to come back and approach it from a more, balanced type of energy, with temperance. There's more equilibrium. There's a little bit more, okay, I'm going to think through what I say. I'm not just going to jump on them and attack them. And, the thing I will say, and this has been the message, is that there isn't like an easy solution to it. With the moon in temperance, it's Sagittarian Pisces energy. So both signs are ruled by Jupiter. So they both have these big visions. But we have to remember there are signs that square each other. So they don't have a ton in common because, Pisces is coming more from like this watery, emotional, like let's go into the depths and discover, psychic energy, mystical energy, very creative, intuitive, artistic. Sagittarian it's different. It's different Jupiter energy. It's a fire sign, right? So it's like, let's go out and just do it. Let's not overplan it. Let's not overthink it. Let's feel alive, let's learn about it. Let's explore it, but we don't have to go super deep, So I'm not sure if this is between you and I'm assuming it's between you and your person. I'm not sure which you side with more, but it's like these two people, they have the same goal, but their approach is very different. I'll be honest, I don't have the solution for you because I don't see a solution presenting yet, but it might just be this ongoing thing where you guys have to, I don't know if it's like take turns. I'm not sure if that applies or, give a little, take a little, Or, maybe you have to find some sort of negotiation where you don't get your way, knowing that in the future things are going to change and you're going to approach this from a different standpoint or strategy. Again, I don't really know what to do with that message, but that message has come through consistently in like the last 6 readings I've done. Not the most sexy romantic message. I agree with you there. What else? Let's see. I feel like an object has gone missing. And I don't know if you guys, or it could even be an animal. I almost see someone putting up flyers for like a missing dog or a missing animal, or I don't even know the context of what this would be, but something's gone missing and you're searching for it, you're looking for it. There's a lot of dread and anxiety because it may have been something that was quite valuable or a piece of family history or legacy. I don't know if it's a photograph or a diary or a journal. This is so bizarre, you guys. I don't know what this is. For some of you, it's like it got wet and something got ruined. For some of you, it's like a cell phone went into the lake or the ocean and you lost all the pictures. Some of you, it's like something was spilled on like an old artifact or an old document and you feel like it's ruined. Again, I don't know why this is coming through. Why I'm like looking for answers here. Why is this coming through? For some of you, it's about not being so, it's something about the past hindering your ability to move forward into the future. And I know that's not going to resonate for all of you because I'm trying to be delicate because some of you, it's like you're heartbroken by whatever happened. But I do think it's sort of this energetic release of like you have the memories. And that's for most of you, it's like that's what you really need. It's like the emotions that come when you think of those times and those, the things you experienced, the person you were with, the memories of your grandfather. That's what's important. It's not always about having to have like the physical evidence and like this. I'm sort of getting the idea with Taurian energy of too much stuff. Being okay with, I don't know if it's a purging or getting rid of like the excess because it's all, again, I'm trying to be sensitive, but like holding on to all the things and on all the items and more or less kind of being a hoarder, that's not going to make this person come back. Or I hope you guys kind of get my metaphor here. There is something to do with releasing of objects and stuff and things that are taking up room, that it's like energetically you don't have room to accept new blessings from the universe. So I hope you can put that in context of something that makes sense for you, if in fact it does. But it's like, I think the universe is trying to bring you calmness and peace of mind that like, you'll always have the memories. You have the experience. That's what matters. And you can do something with that experience. You can write a book, you can write an article, you can do a painting that pays, homage or homage, however you say it, to this person or that pet, or there's something about being able to release the physical item. And it's almost like doing more with it. But it's almost on a more creative level with this kind of moon Pisces energy. You're going to write a poem about it or write a song about it or something more meaningful than just holding on to that old item that it was just sitting on a shelf collecting dust. I understand this message might be hard to digest or follow for some of you because there's so much sentimentality attached to that thing or that person or that object. But all I can say is like the universe is like assuring me like it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And for some of you, there's a message here of like finding really great support in your partner, in your person. If you're single and looking, it feels like there's really good partnership coming in for you. Possibly for those who desire marriage and building a family and moving in together and, kind of the big milestones of, traditional relationships. I'll say that. That seems to be in the cards, particularly with a Taurus, possibly an Aquarius. Pisces, Cancer, Sagittarius, a lot of signs. If you're dealing with a Gemini, I feel like there's a lot of weird stuff going on. I feel like you may, single or casually dating, I feel like there's a Gemini who has like sex addiction issues, but also intimacy issues. It's like they want to rush into bed, but they don't want to form any relationship that actually has a foundation or something you can, stand on, something you can grow from. It has to do with growing up in a very competitive environment, competitive with their friends, with their siblings, with their neighbors. I don't know what it is, but it's like there's this need to always be cutting edge or be modern, or I don't even know what it is, but it's like I don't know, life just feels like a battle, and their dating life just feels like one conquest after the next. Knowing you, Capricorn, that's probably not what you want to hear. That's probably not what you want to be to someone else. But it's like they're very much keeping their options open, even if they're telling you that they're not. And don't get me wrong, I love my Geminis. I got strong Gemini in my chart. It's not a personal attack on them. It's just in this reading particular, that's coming through very strongly. It may have to do with a Libra as well. I'm not certain about that. And you have to use your own guidance and intuition, right? I'm not saying that's every Gemini out there. Maybe you're dealing with multiple ones, but I just feel like there's kind of a message of protection from the universe that this, yeah, especially with like sexual activity, passing on things that you don't necessarily want, if you get my metaphor here, not just pregnancy, but things that, kind of stick with you that you're like, ugh, I wish they had been more upfront about that. Yeah, there's definitely some like, be very careful with who you're sleeping with and knowing their history and things that they may be carrying. I'm just, yeah, that feels like a really strong message of caution. Let's see. I feel like there's a Pisces or a Cancer that has an important message for you. Almost someone who's very connected to the spiritual or to the divine. It's almost like they're a channel of communication from like the angels, or they have a message for you. And it may be regarding something about family or healing or, I don't know, medicine. It might be a message about your Sagittarius. That again, it's a comforting message. It helps put things in perspective. But it's something that like the signs and the information were there all along. You just didn't want to see it. So hearing it from someone else is necessary and cathartic and brings some peace of mind. It might be a heavy message that maybe you didn't want to hear, but ultimately you're glad you did because it helped bring closure to something that you were struggling with. All right, Capricorn, that's what I got for you. You had some heavy messages this week. My goodness. All right, sending you guys my best. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you soon for more tarot. Bye.